Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we're going to discuss the 1997 cosmic horror film Event Horizon, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and starring Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne. So this was my pick. Again, we're getting into the Halloween season here, October. So this is one of those horror movies I've heard a lot about over the years, and I never saw it when it came out, and a friend of mine was praising it. So I finally decided to watch it. The story just follows a crew with a scientist named Dr. Weir, I believe, played by Sam Neill, who built this ship called the Event Horizon that is supposed to be able to travel past the speed of light. So years ago in 2035 or something like that, the ship went missing when they were testing I forget what he calls the engine.
Yeah, like the transwarp
the crazy
drive.
engine. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then it went missing and just completely blipped out of existence. All of a sudden they get a transmission from the ship. So he is sent with this crew on a top secret mission to go investigate.
The ship is out by Neptune.
Yeah, so it's by Neptune, so they're way out there to investigate, what happened to the ship, what happened to the crew, what can they salvage for it. And it turns out that the ship is haunted. So this is kind of like where Alien was almost a slasher movie set in space on a spaceship. This is a haunted house movie in space, which is, you can take that concept and we're going to do our haunted house movie, but put it on a spaceship, where apparently as it traveled past light the way he explains it, maybe I'll add the clip.
Imagine for a minute that this piece of paper...
No, excuse me. That's Vanessa and that's mine.
This attractive piece of paper represents space-time, and you want to get from point A here to point B there. Now, what's the shortest distance between 2 points?
A straight line.
Wrong. The shortest distance between 2 points is 0, and that's what the gateway does. It folds space so that point A and point B coexist in the same space and time. When the spacecraft passes through the gateway, space returns to normal. It's called a gravity drive.
How do you know all this?
I built it.
Well, I can see why they sent you.
Turns out that the dimension it passed through was hell. So that's an interesting concept. And yeah, man. I mean, I thought the movie was all right. They try to get you early on with these like loud, screeching jump scares where he's having a nightmare and all of a sudden a door will open and it's crazy
a haunted
loud.
house. It's a haunted house.
Yeah.
It's a haunted house.
It was interesting seeing how the mystery unfolds as they're trying to like uncover what happened. Where's the crew at? Why are there just like bloody body parts all over the wall in this room? Everybody starts having hallucinations and nightmares that are geared specifically towards them and their fears, which was kind of interesting. That's almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street-ish, Pennywise-ish of knowing what you're afraid of and getting into that.
Every horror movie cliche is in this movie. Mm-hmm. Everything. This movie. You're a filmmaker. You're a photographer. Mm-hmm. I'm a writer. Mm-hmm. This thing has no writing. Every single point in this is a Star Trek episode,
right?
From the Captain Kirk Star Trek. Like
yeah,
not even,
yeah.
It's the classic this, the classic that, the classic this, and we'll list them as we go a little bit or whatever. It's not even possible to have a spoiler alert because everything. The only thing that did get me was I thought Dr. Weir would be discovered to be an android.
Oh, really?
Or something. But that wasn't. He just was a regular organic guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, when are they going to cut him? When are they going to see that? When is the thing going to open?
Right.
But he was just a regular guy. But the regular guy that he was Dr. Daystrom in the Star Trek episode where the computer takes over the ship and starts killing everybody. All right, it was like he was that guy. Like Dr. Daystrom was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and Dr. Weir was on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Dr. Weir became obsessed with the ship, just the way the kid in Christine became obsessed with the '58 Chrysler. Like it was the same that movie. Like he was that guy. Yeah. Every space warp thing was so cliche. Mm-hmm. The thing that you just said about you have the nightmare where you see the truth about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's the Twilight Zone episode. I don't know what kind of Twilight Zone fan you are, but there's an episode where there's glasses that say veritas, which is Latin for truth. And when you put them on, you see the truth about who you're talking to, but they really think of you and everything like that and everything.
Yeah.
But you can never put them on. Everybody dies when they put them on and they look in the mirror. 'Cause then they see the truth
Yeah.
about it, and it drives them insane.
Right.
So this was that, you know. It was the same thing where they use both ships. Like they have to live on this one because that one's damaged.
Yeah,
and they got to
right.
move to this one because that one's going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, all of those cliches are in there.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of stuff we've seen before, and I feel like Hellraiser was definitely an influence on it, and some of the imagery and whatnot. There's some other movies I thought about when I was watching it too, but I kind of forgot my references.
Well, it's the scene where an enormous amount of red water for some reason seems to come out of nowhere.
Right, yeah.
It's not blood because it doesn't have the consistency of blood,
Yeah.
right? It's water.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, run!
Right.
So run where? You're on a spaceship, you know, but they run. There's a lot, this is a lot of elements of a chase movie too, you know? So it's a chase in space. It's a haunted house in space. It's a emotional possession. You know, the crew ends up killing each other, you know, all that stuff.
I will say for me, I think kind of the coolest, scariest moment is there's a part where, you know, Sam Neill, Dr. Weir's got to go in this vent to kind of fix something.
Oh, yeah.
So he's in this this very confined kind of space, and it's all the green lights and looks like just circuit boards and stuff. And when he's got to crawl through there,
Right out of Matrix.
yeah, that feels very like alien-ish when like Dallas is in the, you know, the little vents
But of course,
too.
in Space Odyssey, the guy goes in the thing and starts pulling out the 8-track tapes.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
This is, you know,
But-
everything's in it. Every movie ever made is in
Yeah.
this movie.
But I did like that production design, like the green and the lighting, and when the lights just shut off from the end of the hall, like coming down, and they're flickering on and off, and when it goes black, maybe the camera angle changes when the light comes
Right,
back
and his
on.
flashlight went off and on too at random.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool and suspenseful, and I was just waiting for someone to suddenly be behind him and all that. You know, even though I'm anticipating those things because, again, we've seen them before,
Right.
I just like the way it was designed and made, and it made you wait, and it didn't quite get you with some jump scare, which I actually appreciated because you're waiting for
Right,
that,
yeah.
and then it doesn't go that way. I just thought that whole aesthetic and the lighting there and everything was cool, and I can't help but think of, you know, it's so funny. One thing that was a bummer to me about this movie, and I know it has a big cult following, and a lot of people, especially horror fans, like love this film, and I wish I saw it back when it came out because I feel like it's one of those movies where maybe for the horror fans, you kind of had to be there because right out the gate from the opening credits, the CGI is just so terrible to me. In data, you know, there's like a watch floating and like a water, but when you're just seeing all this stuff float and the non-gravity and even throughout, there's a lot of moments.
That tunnel with the circular black tunnel thing, where that was pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
that was cool, and that looked like something they built. Like, okay, they're walking through an actual. That was cool, but anytime there's moments of CGI throughout the movie, it just really rough and pulls me out, especially when it starts with that. The first shots is like really bad CGI. That's kind of tough for me. But I imagine if I saw it in '97 when it came out, it probably would have looked a lot cooler and would have had a bigger impact on me. But that was one thing that was kind of a bummer for the movie.
Yeah, place and time is important.
Yeah.
Place and time. Where what was going on, stuff that you see and it looks chintzy now. Well, at that time it was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to always gauge it that way. I try to, when I see the date, when was it? I try to remember where I was. You know, when this movie came out, I was not yet in California. So it was like, okay. Now, the funny thing about that is that you said you hadn't seen it before. I didn't realize I had seen it before till extremely late in the movie when something happened. One of the girls anyway, and it was like, oh yeah, I saw this. Like the whole rest of it, I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
Right.
You know.
I will say too, more and more I appreciate Sam Neill as an actor. I feel like he's someone who's kind of underrated, and I think he was perfect in this role. And it reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if you'd seen Possession from the 80s with him. He's like pretty young, and I forget the actress's name. That's a pretty wild just movie. I'll send you the trailer or something.
Right, we'll have to, yeah.
Yeah, his wife kind of goes crazy and he goes crazy and he's pretty creepy. But in this, I think he did that role really well. Like I buy him as the scientist that created the ship and he's so proud of it and this and that. I wasn't expecting.
And plus, he was condescending to the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
Like he's like, look, I'm the genius here. Let's
Right,
not
right.
forget that.
Yeah.
I'm the reason we're here. You guys are my soldiers.
Yeah.
So just do your job. Don't ask me any questions because you won't even understand the answers. And one of the 97 things that most people still now do not understand what a black hole is at all. But in 97, they really didn't, and the way they portrayed it and everything, it was just plain silly. But that was one of those place and time things.
Yeah.
Because the black holes were hardly talked about. That was a very new thing then.
Yeah. Right.
Now we just say it. Still nobody understands it, or very few anyway. But that was, for me, that was one of those, like how you were with the CGI. It was like, oh, God, look at the black hole.
Yeah.
This is totally not.
Yeah, right.
But then it was pretty groundbreaking. So... But anyway, what were you saying about that movie?
No, yeah, I was just going to say I appreciated his performance. I wasn't expecting him to suddenly turn. Like, it was clear that, okay, he's more obsessed with the ship's well-being than them. But then when he kind of became the embodiment of it in a way, I wasn't expecting that. But I thought that was kind of interesting and cool. And I did like the makeup job on him when his eyes are gouged out and his face is all cut up.
All the square cuts.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was when his like eyes are just gone.
He was in a barbed wire fight.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a very stock kind of, here's our characters and everyone is kind of this type of person. And they weren't that
the
interesting.
Girls were,
and the only one that was interesting to me was Jason Isaacs, the DJ character. And I wanted to know a little more about him.
Yeah,
because he seemed a little unhinged in a way, but was looking out for people, and he gets wrecked. He gets the worst death of all, which is a bummer. But I was interested in his character, and I wish they could have, I don't know, given us more to care about with them. It's like all we really get is, okay, this lady, the doctor lady, had to leave her son behind who's sick, and she's sad about it. And other than that, everyone's kind of okay. Well,
they're just mercenaries.
Yeah.
But Jolie Richardson. She and Lawrence Fishburne is kind of one of the stars of the movie. Right. And his acting was nothing special. He just walked through the part. Now, I will say this. It's just kind of a vain thing to say, I guess. But with the exception of Sam Neill, like, I felt like I could have played any of those parts. Like there's acting that's so incredible that you watch it and you're like, I could never, no amount of schooling, like I'm not that guy, like whatever it is. But the rest of the people were all like, I could have been cast in that role and done that and just as good as that guy. Or, so there's not really no tremendous writing, really no tremendous acting, except Sam Neill when he goes, and you're right about that, the guy, the first guy to get affected. He really did suffer. Yeah. He didn't know what was going on. But Sam Neill did get good and psychotic. I mean, he really went full psycho, full tilt.
Yeah.
That was good. But Jolie Richardson and Kathleen Quinlan.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like the characters don't get a whole lot of meat. And in that way, it feels, again, using the word cliche, like a cliche almost slasher movie of like, all right. Here's they're merely the victims.
Right.
What do they say in Star Trek? Like the red shirts? They're the red shirts.
Right. They're going to die right away.
That's why they exist. And, whoever.
Disposable.
Yeah.
Right.
But then, you get something like, I can't help, and maybe it's because I'm watching the Alien Earth show right now, but to draw comparisons, maybe I'm wrong for that. I just couldn't help it because I literally watched an episode and then I watched this movie. But the production design,
I'm watching Eureka right now, so you can imagine.
Yeah, but like the influence and how they do some things different, and I like all that. But it made me think about, even in Alien, you can kind of say the same thing where like, all right, these characters are going to be victims, but I feel like we got more out of them. We got to know that, like Yaphet Kotto Dean, oh my goodness, Harry Dean Stanton. It's like I like those guys. You get to know what they're about and just kind of their dynamic, and they're just trying to get paid and all that. And like I feel bummed out when they get whacked in this movie. In that movie, in this one, it didn't really impact me as much.
Right? Yeah, they were very inconvenienced. They were like,
Yeah.
we were supposed to go on shore leave, but we got stuck doing this,
Right.
and it was real routine for them. And plus, their travel was in a cryogenic chamber.
Yeah.
So they leave Earth, and then minutes later,
Right.
they're orbiting Neptune. And,
Yeah.
you know, and of course they have the classic scene where the guy chokes his way out.
Yeah.
You know, the water goes down.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's, oh, you've never been cryogenically frozen before. So,
Right.
you know, but in 97,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I did have fun with the movie. You know what I mean? It was worth watching.
You call them popcorn movies, and that's what this
yeah,
was.
Yeah. This
is,
is
you know,
that. This is an October movie.
Kind of watch it with your socks on or something. You know. But there is one thing I like to say regarding this and movies in general, and I have come to really resent dream sequence scenes. You know, and it comes, I mean, the first one was The Wizard of Oz, right? Dorothy wakes up and the whole thing was just a dream, right? And then you were too young to remember who killed JR, but in the 80s, they had a TV show called Dallas. And J.R. Ewing, at the last episode, he gets killed, and then you got to wait all the way until the fall. So all summer long, it was who killed JR. And then when it came to the fall and to find out who killed him, it was like his death was a dream by somebody, and he wasn't even dead. And Larry Hageman just continued on the show like nothing happened. I was like, what a ripoff.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they had to do that. So near the end of the movie, when there's a dream sequence,
Yeah.
this is a horror movie, so there's real horror. You didn't have to have a horrible dream too,
Yeah,
or
right.
something. It was such a junk addition to the thing, and
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where in any movie, you know, first of all, I've gotten to the point where I know right away. It's like, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
This is not. This is too violent for this. You know, or what this would be, and I don't like that included.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah, it wasn't necessary. I mean, it's part of that horror film formula for sure. Like they say in the movie Scream, like, oh, be careful.
Careful. This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Yeah, right.
And it was very
you turn
much
your back on the dead guy, and
Yeah.
then next thing you know, he's
Yeah.
over your shoulder.
And,
right.
and it was very much that moment. But yeah, and I would have lived with that if it just ended there, and it's like, okay, yeah, they didn't actually leave the ship because it kept them there and they're haunted and they can't escape. So they thought they left, but they're still there. But then they undercut it with, like you said, oh, it was just a dream and we're just going to end here suddenly.
And
It's
the,
like,
and
well,
the ending
you
just
didn't
slammed.
need.
It just slam shut ending.
Right.
Like,
It's like you didn't really need that. You should have just
okay?
ended.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Good night,
yeah.
everybody. You know,
yeah,
like,
let's take him to the med bay. It's like they should have just ended it with Sam Neill. Like, yep, you can't escape. Boom, done. Like the dream aspect. I mean, that's a small nitpick for me, but I was just like, yeah.
I just wanted
not
to carp
necessary.
about that in general.
Yeah, no, for sure.
'Cause
I get that. Yeah.
And once again, it's 97, pretty close to when JR, you know.
Right.
So to me, it's not a must watch. It's a fun watch. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just in the mood for a blood and guts, you know, why are there body parts floating throughout the ship?
Right.
Like one of the things really cool, a hand comes like into
Yeah,
like,
right.
but it's just a hand. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
floating
there's
around.
nothing connected to it. So stuff like.
Yeah, that was one thing that disappointed me. Maybe I had it built up in my head that it was going to be a lot crazier and there'd be more. But when we do find out what happened with the ship and they do those fast little glimpses of what went down and they're watching the video and you see a little bit of it,
Yeah.
it was just a little underwhelming. I thought there was going to be a lot more craziness going on. And from what I heard, they did delete a lot of that stuff so that they can get it released. Like, I guess it was too much. But
Right.
I was a little disappointed. I think I just...
Yeah, the director was unhappy about that. There were
Okay,
parts
yeah.
that were cut because they wanted to make a timeline. And because they wanted to make that timeline, it was, let's just box this up, you know.
Yeah, right.
And so all of a sudden, the film that he was making, the guy with way too many names, the film he was making, all of a sudden, it was chopped up. And
Yeah,
he was
right.
like, all right, well, just go ahead and print
That's
it, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's my own fault for having expectations built up, but Yeah, that was a little disappointing to me, but I'll say, yeah, nothing. I think it's a must see if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen it. You gotta watch it. It's one of those you gotta see it in your lifetime,
right?
But I didn't think it was, I didn't think it was amazing or anything like that.
For people not in the genre,
yeah, then you could take it or leave it,
right?
But
I'll leave it.
So that's a wrap on this one, everyone. Leave a comment. Let us know. Are you a fan of this movie? What do you think of it?
It does have a cult following. There are people that are going to go like, hey, dude.
Yeah. Some people are going to be upset, but it's all right. Anyway, cheers.